morning.
What's up?
It just dawned on me, some of our conversations in the past, I'm just doing a little more research on the escrow angle, and it just dawned on me that the escrow, are, even though it's the principal, it's the wire transfer that comes from the full faith and credit. It's being held as a bond until the loan is completely paid off, of which at that point is where the money is dispersed back to the parties, whoever is going to be first in line to claim it.
Okay, there's some other terms here.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
This is let me get back upstairs here and pull up my computer. One thing you never sign as the authorized representative. You sign as the authorized representative, and basically now you put yourself in the responsibility seat. And basically your fiction persons, they're only half-ass, right?
Yeah. They have to have...
Okay, so you sign on his behalf.
Yes. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that they're actually holding the whole principle that otherwise would have not split the titles and would have not carried you as a debtor. It would have been completely paid if they didn't do this.
Okay, here's what it is. It's a mortgage of patent. Okay, mortgage of patent.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. Give me a second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, a mortgage of a patent right, the recording of which in the patent office, in accordance with federal statute, is the equivalent of delivery of possession. Now, the sub-office of the patent office is the Bureau of Vital Statistics. You're not going to find this anywhere.
I know. It's tough finding what I do find.
Yeah, and see, this is and we have our grantee, okay, and the all-capital name person is the grantee, not the grantor.
That's correct.
Okay, because that's what's on the Social Security card. And he's the grantee. So he is the mortgagee in possession. The person to whom a mortgage is made, okay, is the mortgagee.
Mm-hmm.
And he is held to be the purchaser within the meaning of the statute entitling, whatever. Now you can read all that. Okay, now, what they did, they placed this into a mortgage pool. All of our different items.
Mm-hmm.
A trust created by the owners of several or even many mortgages in transferring the instruments to a trustee to hold for the benefit of the transferors. We're the transferor, the living.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The trustee is the state attorney general and the U.S. trustee.
Yep.
And this is all under a constructive mortgage.
Yes.
An instrument in the form of an absolute deed of real estate, but intended as a mortgage, being given as a security for the payment of a debt.
Yep.
Now, these trustees are basically constructive trustees.
Mm-hmm.
Trustee ex delicto, one charged as constructive trustee because of his own wrong. And see, they've done this in a wrong. And then also trustee ex malefact, a trustee from whom wrongdoing. The trustee of a trust arising by operation of law from a wrongful acquisition. And these were wrongful acquisitions.
Yes, and that's the reason why they're
because they were constructive trusts in fraud.
That's right.
Now, is what we have to do is we have to come in and do a reconveyance from the grantee to the grantor, and then from the grantor back to us as the original transfer or owner.
Which should liquidate the escrow account as to disbursement.
Right. And everything is in REM.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they are just a thing. They're not, and see, that's what you go into court. You want to be in REM, and see, they're going against the thing, not against the person.
Yeah, that's the reason why they can actually place it in commerce instead of probate.
But they need us to give them permission to go after the thing.
Yeah.
And that's called a quasi, or a judgment quasi in rem. Judgment quasi in rem. And then jurisdiction quasi in rem. But the judgment quasi in rem, because the jurisdiction over the person of the obligator cannot be acquired. So they can't come after us unless we give them consent.
Yeah, that's the reasons why they're not coming after you personally. They're coming after the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. You're pretty clear today. All right, so what is your thinking? I mean,
yeah.
I've confirmed.
On behalf, for him, as authorized by him. So on his behalf, we can come in and sign for them.
That's right, because you're the principal party of interest that supersedes all other parties.
Yeah, and he's only a half-ass anyway.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, a half-ass.
He's just a half-ass, and there's the other half over there.
Is that anything like I got two nuts hanging around all day long?
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
God.
one of the other things is, okay, we, I don't know whether I told you this the other day or not, that we need to do an address change or just fill out an address form to list your court at the address you're at.
Does that have to be
a new person? Yeah.
Is that a commercial address, like a registered agent address, or what?
Well, no, this is not commercial. This is basically our real court. So it's not commercial. It's commerce, but it's not commercial commerce. See,
Got it.
Everybody has to operate in commerce, and we have. See, our court is basically founded upon the Articles of Confederation,
okay, yeah.
not on the Constitution.
So, all right. So, all right. So, do you have to qualify that address as to the purpose and intent?
Well, basically, you just go in and fill it out and basically say, if business, move, print, business name, and basically you're putting the new address in there for the name and everything. So you're just setting up a new entity in your family, your court.
Yeah, I think court. Okay, I'm just writing this stuff down as notes.
Yeah, your business. You'd make it change of address for business, and basically, and then basically, if you want a new or something like that, that it's the 3520 or 3575 form. I think is what we need.
What, the IRS?
And then we have recognition from the post office that we have a court. It's now on file.
Okay, give me that form number again. Is that post office or IRS? What?
It's post office form, PS form 3575. In most cases, they want you to try and do this online, but if you go down there to the post office, they do have the packages. They just don't want to stick them out there. They want you to do it online.
Of course, yeah. All right. All right. Okay, so give it some thought. I did go through the financial code for California, and I found the section on escrow, and it's for sure the escrows are sitting there on everything that they've got to claim on title. And the way I'm looking at it is a little bit like what you were saying. It either creates a bond or an assurance or an insurance until the actual loan or obligation of that trust is completed. There is no disbursement of those funds.
Right, and so you've got to come in on behalf of the grantee and sign for him ordering that trustee to make the settlement. You order the release of that.
Yeah. Which actually it goes right back to when we were doing the disbursement. Some of this language was very, very close, but now that I've gone through the financial codes and really got a hold on exactly what they're doing here, it makes perfect sense that escrow will follow and pursue. That's what these mortgage service providers are doing, Pat. They're actually servicing the escrow account, and they're not doing anything other than that.
Yeah. And see, but they're holding a promise, and see, also revocation of letters. Okay? And see, these are all done under letters. So, revocation of letters, the nullification of letters of an executor or administrator for invalidly of the appointment or upon the removal of the executor or administrator by the court. And so you're going to do a removal of that trustee.
Yeah.
And see, all of these grantors and grantees are surrogates.
Yeah.
So watch the movie Surrogate with Bruce Willis. And see, it's a crime involving moral turpitude.
Yeah.
And that can land people in jail.
Well, it should, and the problem we've got is they're all washing each other's back because they're all getting a cut.
Yeah. Now, also, one other thing. Write this one down.
Yeah, go for it.
STAREDECISIS.
Sealed desist, yeah.
Okay? And see, this is the document or principle that decisions should stand as precedents for guidance in cases arising in the future. Well, the biggest doctrine of decisions that is out there for the law is the Bible.
Yeah.
The Bible has set the foundation set of laws and decisions that our constitutional government was founded upon.
Well, the Bible doesn't include the Mosaic Law, does it?
It includes everything out of Moses, that basically him going in and shutting down the Pharaonic, okay, these fraternal societies that we're operating with now, these mutual fraternal societies over our accounts. And see, that was the British system that Moses was dealing with back in his time.
Yep.
Same system.
Yeah. All right. Yep.
And
well,
one of your wills, a holographic will, you do not need to have any witnesses. A holographic will is a will that is entirely written and signed by the testator in his own handwriting.
That's right. Yeah.
And so you don't need any witnesses to that will.
That's right. Well, you know what we found out with making these wills, anytime that you do a testimony or a declaration or an affidavit, is that if you're saying that it is a testament, is you're basically functioning as an executive order coming out of the will. So we started changing all of the affidavits and declarations over to that, which is actually pretty cool when you really get into it and kind of like flex that muscle and you massage it a little bit. It really is comfortable coming from the will of the living estate. I found out that the Court of Chancery in San Francisco Probate Court made a statement in their mission statement saying, all you people out there got the wrong idea what probate's about. This is for the living estates. They stated right on their first page. I'm sitting there, fuck. It's about fucking time that somebody leaked a little bit of this. And it's about all your financial issues, your current ones while you're still alive. They go into very deep. They said that everybody's got the misunderstanding to think that it's all about the decedent. No, they said this is about the living estates.
Yeah, and see, all of these, what I was trying to do with the quick claim deeds,
yeah,
those are already in place.
Yeah.
That Social Security account, that certificate of live birth,
yeah,
that certificate of title to the vehicle, those are quick claim deeds from your grantor over to the grantee.
Yeah, you have to treat them like that. Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Is what we have to do is do this opposite one.
Yes.
Which is taking and doing the reconveyance back from the grantee back to the grantor. Got it.
And it really fits in with my thinking because of the escrow is what's holding the value until you actually come to what you're talking about, whatever method's going to work for them, as to quit claim and then reconvey back to the grantor the funds, the principal, because they're not going to do it until that happens. They're not going to do anything with those funds until you actually get it right.
Yeah.
And that's what I found out by studying the escrow stuff this week is that the mortgage service providers or the DMV or the Attorney General's office or the secretaries, none of them can touch the principal. It's all about you coming in, acting on behalf of the all-cap name estate and putting the order in as to do what. And that's where we're at right now. We've got enough information of knowing that all of this stuff is just waiting for the proper paperwork and orders to put in there. And we're all getting very close to this, but I think that you've got a good chunk of it. One of the things that I don't know if I told you last week, but there was a case that was ran through the common law grand jury in Texas where the guy actually did a quiet title action on his all-cap name. Well, come to find out, he took it to the appellate court and won his case. He actually is the principal owner that has any ability that he wants to do upon that all-cap name because he set precedents.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he used a quiet title action, and that's what really triggered me with what you're doing with the quit claim and the reconveyances. There's nothing that says that you can't do this stuff. It's just that they're not teaching us, and we have to feel our way through this stuff as to be effective. But we're getting very close to using the same structure that they've got for all this other stuff, but privately do this as to get ourselves secured with this, the grantor grantee stuff.
Let me read you a little small little paragraph here of what I sent or got back from the chief judge for the United States District Court. Okay?
Yeah, go for it.
This matter comes before the court pursuant to a batch of undecipherable documents entitled Quit Claim Deeds with Court Apostille and Conciliatoria of Foreign Instruments. Attached to it is also a postal money order in the amount of $40. Now, this is the big one. This document is yet another in a long series from a man who is the only one who knows what he wants.
And?
That's it. He was giving me a praise that I'm the only one that knows what I want.
Well, yeah, and that goes back to the half-assed all-cap name. It has no abilities to thank. It has no abilities to set an order forward. It is up for the pickings if you abandon and don't exercise and use that as a living. There is no movement unless it's under the ward of the state of where there's a necessity for a withdrawal. I mean, virtually, that's where we're at with this half-assed all-cap name.
Yeah, and now, the other thing is, okay, I got my stuff back from the Secretary of State, and I did ecclesiastical on them, and they sent them all back because they wanted a public notary. And I said, well, basically, I know something that they wouldn't accept my ecclesiastical notary. So basically, they can't deal with the living.
Well, that's
so these documents. We don't need to have them apostille them. Okay, we're outside their jurisdiction, the governmental jurisdiction, so we don't need any apostilles from them. Because if you go and get an apostille, you're placing yourself into the public realm and under their control. The other thing is, they sent my stuff back for my certificate of live birth. They jacked that up from $15 to $20. But there was just little bits and pieces that I got back from this and said, hey, yeah, we don't need them. Okay? The whole country was basically using the Bible or some other document that they had from a hospital of being born here in America as a passport. The passports really didn't come about until the 1920s or so. The formal passports.
Yeah.
Everybody was using, and see, even some of them are still using up until in the 1940s. And a lot of the religious people, that's all they use as their passport.
Yeah.
And I took my template that I had for my ID and everything, and under my court notary or court item, and basically showed that to the post office when I had to cash these money orders. And she said, "Okay, I'll take it." They're taking this stuff.
Well, I think it's kind of funny because there was just a small understanding that came about a couple weeks ago about anybody that's a foreigner that's coming into this country has to be bonded coming into this country in case of any liabilities. Well, I guess it's probably true under the Trading with the Enemy Act that everyone had to be bonded as to protect any liabilities that may accrue. And in a lot of sense, that's what they did for people getting their green cards and whatnot. They had to have, in some situations, liability bonds, especially when you're an ambassador and or a diplomat coming into this country. And I bet you that had something to do with the birth registrations.
Well, let's see, that's all under fraud, okay? Because they really don't need that, okay?
Well,
we were born free. We were not supposed to be placed into bondage.
Yeah, but the thing
that's what they've done with everybody that's coming in this country. They're placing them under bondage.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the information I'm reading on escrow accounts is that until the termination or the satisfaction of that account has been met, is that the escrow funds will remain in that account until that does occur. So we were really close with the disbursement. We were just off with the paperwork as to relinquish all of these outstanding escrow accounts out there at the county and state level, as to wind those things up, as the Attorney General's office says, and return those proceeds when they're dispersed at the end of the closure of those particular outstanding accounts.
Yeah. Now, what is a mortgage? What's the two words for a mortgage?
What's the two words? Geez, I don't know. It's a mortgage.
No, it's dead pledge.
Yeah, I was going to say something about cemetery, but
Yeah,
you had
it's a
something on
dead
your mind.
pledge. And see, that goes back to the pharaohs, who were basically charging the dead to be buried. Okay, so it was a dead pledge. A mortgage is a dead pledge.
Okay.
To place you in a fraudulent conveyance, a bonding system.
Yeah. So in other words, they were acting kind of like the trustee at that point, acting on your behalf as to get you buried.
Yeah, basically they were charging the people, putting them under a mortgage, a dead pledge, because the people didn't have the $200 to bury their dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically now they got into debt.
Which was against
falsely. I mean, basically, wait a minute. That's the dead. Basically, you're supposed to take care of the dead. Here, you take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, see, that's how that the first pharaoh came into power, was by standing at the cemetery and charging the people 200 or whatever shekels or whatever it was at that time to bury the dead, and saying that it was coming from the king of Egypt. That's in that one book, Joshua, I think.
Yeah.
Book of Joshua, chapter 14 or 17. One of them talks about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, see, and then, let's see, what was the other one? That's pretty much about it.
Yeah. Well, it all makes sense. I mean, I can see more and more that the original intent was to follow and pursue ease of classical furthering, which would be the Bible and whatever else they were doing, as to set up these laws and whatnot. And even though they have misconstrued all this stuff and got out of control, is that there's still that essence behind the scene. This escrow thing has really got me triggered, because I really didn't take a good look at it like I've been looking at it. And part of it is, you know what got me started with this? I went and found out that, under, what was it, either the real estate code or someplace, what was the definition of a mortgage service provider? It was to maintain for the duration the escrow account of the loan. They're only authorized to maintain the escrow account. Now stop and think about that.
That's the trustee. That's the account that the trustees are supposed to be holding, and that's what I was talking about, was this mortgage pool, okay?
Yeah.
So that escrow account is the mortgage pool.
Yeah, and don't forget that the Attorney General's office has all these pooling agreements under his control, and that would happen to be the charitable trusts as the pooling agreements. I've already checked it out. It's right in their laws.
Yeah, but the correct thing is basically it's a mortgage pool, okay?
Yeah.
And you can look that one up, and that was what I was looking at. Now, do you know what a device is?
Yes.
D-E-V-I-C-E.
Yes, it comes up very often.
Okay, something ingeniously conceived or skillfully made.
Yes.
Especially something where to work a trick or perpetrate a fraud. That's what a device is.
Wouldn't be too far off from your constructive trustees now, would it?
No. And then see, demise, D-E-M-I-S-E, is a deed. And that comes into play under the reversion, okay?
Yeah.
Where the grantor, basically, after a termination of a prior particular state granted, okay, in reversion, okay, and it talks about demise, okay, and that is the deed that we have to do in this reversion.
Yeah. So it's almost like, okay, sometimes you got to go backwards like a reversion or a remittance as to conclude, finish off, as to have any reversionary interest left over.
Yeah, it's got to revert back to you. That's what a reversion is. Basically, is going back to the original in favor of the original owner or whoever.
But you're doing a good deed. You're doing a good deed as to offset the bad deed that the government or whoever had put you in the pickle to start with, as to have the reversionary. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, I'll let you go. I just wanted to share with you my latest understanding about escrow accounts. I'm going to go a little bit further into it for the state. I'm going under the treasurer right now to see what I can find over there. But it's pretty satisfying when you read that these escrow buckets cannot be touched except by the principal, and we have every right as to go ahead and dissolve these relations, even if you revocate and or like what you were saying a little bit earlier, letters of revocation, and where you put that in there as to terminate the arrangement, the outstanding accounts, and they have to initiate the disbursement of the funds thereafter, remittance. There you go.
That is what you have to do, okay? You have to come in and do a reconveyance of demise as a grantee thing, okay, of this demise document and all demising attachments, do hereby, here and now, surrender this quick claim deed back to the grantor. And then you put this on the back of your, like your certificate of live birth, and you talk about it should be properly classified as a constructive mortgage of patent to be held in a mortgage pool by the constructive trustee, state attorney general, and or U.S. trustee.
Yeah.
And then in rem, grantee, mortgagee, surrenderee, Patrick Devine, witnessed on his behalf, and you're a competent attesting witness, in my case, Mr. Patrick Devine, so we sign in on his behalf. Then we, as the grantor, we have to sign for him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the grantor is the name, the capital first letters, small letters,
mm-hmm.
that appear on the certificate of live birth or whatever document that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
And then basically now the grantor is also, he is working for the ward, and you're the ward, and he can turn around and surrender everything over to the ward.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's two surrenders in the process. One surrender, one acceptance of the surrender, and then a second surrender, the grantor to the original owner or lord or estate, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's a little bit like what Christian Walters was seeking, is to merge the titles, but he was missing one of the stages. All right, I'll let you go. Have a good one.
Okay, well,
bye.
talk to you later.